Hi, this is Gary Minchell, and this is Carry On Manufacturing. And this podcast is brought to you by Ignition from Inductive Automation. Behind me, you see what used to be the trade show floor for the ARC Advisory Group Industry Forum, the annual event. This is their 20th, my 19th, to be in Orlando, and a gathering of automation control and software for manufacturing industry people. Probably, my guess would be probably about 500, 550 attendees. There might have been a few more, not sure. A lot of industry players, a lot of companies, supplier companies of various kinds, some new companies. The trade show featured companies that they're familiar, like ABB, who was a major sponsor, and Rockwell and Schneider, and Honeywell, and a number of others. And a whole lot of newer companies, smaller. There's a couple of security companies here, some software companies, some analytics kinds of things, which are getting to be very important. So an interesting gathering, a lot of people, a lot of sessions. I only sat in one, and I'm about to leave for in another hour, 2 hours, to go sit in another session and then get out of here and leave 40-degree Orlando for 15-degree Ohio. But anyway, a number of things happen. This is a great networking event, and people always come here to meet and see what's going on with other people. I'm considered press here, so I went to the press conferences, some new things happening there, and a lot of other back talk. So let me get into some of the things going on. Perhaps the biggest thing that was a topic of conversation all over the place was Andy set out to, Andy Chatta, the owner, president of ARC Advisory Group, in his first opening keynote, really emphasized a press release and a technology under development that I'd seen a little bit a few months ago. I don't remember how long now. I'll find it and link it. But ExxonMobil essentially has a problem with aging DCSs in their plants and facilities, and like everybody, nobody can afford to upgrade, and rip and replace all their stuff, but they need to get into newer stuff that handles information and data and all the stuff that we're doing now, and newer ways of programming, and be able to keep up with stuff without having to put in lots of new hardware all the time. And if they put in new hardware, that just kind of works in. They entered an agreement with Lockheed Martin, which everybody thought, well, this is really strange. I met with a lot of people, a lot of which stuff is under non-disclosure, of course, and then some of it's public. And it really looks like they're not trying to throw any particular DCS vendor under the bus or try to run pricing down to commodity level or anything like that. They know all God's children got to eat, so to speak. But how can they move up the technology chain and probably do it in software? And so that's kind of one of the big things that they're really working on, is to do that. So I had a lot of meetings. There was a lot of discussion. There's a lot of rumors and confusion among some of the people, and I just love speculation by some of the media people that try to figure all this out. But it sounds very interesting, and perhaps there'll be a way where I can, some people I'm working with can help push this thing forward. Actually, at first I was skeptical, and after meeting with a whole lot of people, I thought there's a lot of potential here. So this could be very interesting. So keep your eye on what's going on with this ExxonMobil Lockheed Martin consortium, and other people joining in, and it could move the industry forward, which is a good thing. Speaking of moving the industry forward, this was a chance for a number of us involved with something called Open O&M Initiative. O&M's for Operation and Maintenance. And it was kind of pushed by Alan Johnston of Mimosa, a maintenance information standards organization, but also Tom Burke from OPC, Dennis Brandel, who brings in expertise from ISA 88 and 95, and also the B2MML stuff that's now under MESA, and Dave Emerson of Yokogawa, who is also on the small group committee trying to do this. We had a lot of meetings with different kinds of people, and it's like, how can we push this forward? I've written a white paper, the first of many, where we'll explain more about what we're going on with a standard of standards to move data from application to application within production. And most of this is geared toward, I believe, upstream oil and gas, but well, downstream too. Okay, the first project on paper was, or in software, was a debutanizer, so that's downstream. So anyway, that's a lot of where it started now, but it has application. So we'll see how that goes, and I'll be writing more about that. Speaking of the press conference, on my way down to Orlando, I listened to podcasts and stuff, and I was listening to a session of the Gilmore Gang, and that's a technology podcast out of Silicon Valley, of course. And Robert Scoble, who's like Mr. Enthusiasm about every new thing that comes along, was talking about augmented reality glasses. And he's gone all overboard about how this is going to be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars of business in augmented reality stuff. And they got to talk, and they brought in John Toshak from Salesforce, who says, well, I see a lot of enterprise application for augmented reality. This would be a glass, like goggles you put on, and through the goggles you could see reality, like I'm staring at my computer right now. But overlaid on that could be some kind of information. So if I'm a technician, for example, I could be working on a pump, and I could have overlaid in my glass maybe an exploded drawing to show how this thing goes together, maybe a list of instructions to show how to disassemble and assemble or test it or whatever it needs to be. Or I'm an instrumentation tech, and I'm going out and testing all these instruments, and it would show up, and I could do my thing and then click and see I did it and all that sort of a lot of good uses in enterprise that I see. So in a press conference, there was a presentation by Greg Bentley of Bentley Systems, who does engineering design software, amongst many other things. And he was talking about some really cool stuff they're working on, that they could take like hundreds of pictures and overlay them and do a mesh, if you will, 3D image of maybe a plant or a city, but plant in our case. And they put the augmented reality glasses on, and so you can overlay that, and you can be like walking around. It's pretty cool. So I thought this is really a bit of a trend here, and I heard it like 2 more times about augmented reality. So I would pay attention, if I were you, to what's going on in Silicon Valley with augmented reality, and think about what you can do as far as augmented reality in whatever field you happen to be working on right now. There may be some really cool stuff and some really good business opportunities in that. One of the press conferences was Yokogawa, and they're stepping out of the box a little bit. They made an acquisition and have started a division, and a guy whose name in Japanese sounds almost like Cross, so everybody calls him Cross, is the new EVP of this area of software and services, which is pretty radical for Yokogawa, but he's pretty enthused about it, and the acquisition that they brought in really enhances some software and services capabilities of Yokogawa. Watch for more like that, and in my blog I'll be writing about that. So Bentley, Honeywell introduced an iPhone app, so apps, apps are apps or something, but you can get it on you can actually download it from iTunes, except it doesn't do any good. You have to hook it up to one of the Honeywell softwares. But I saw 2 demos, and it's pretty cool. It's clean, show alerts and alarms, and you can filter and send and do all kinds of stuff with it and interact, and that's really good. And that's a wave of I would say it's a wave of the future, but several companies have been pushing iPhone apps and other ways to use smart devices, smartphones, if you will, or tablets in production and manufacturing. So this is just another step forward in this evolution of using more different tools to get you information in your job relevant to what you're doing right now, and again, take care of some of this. So that was pretty cool. And I go back through the system. So I think those are probably the highlights. There were like 3 other ones, press conferences that we sat through, but those were all pretty cool. And like I say, this is a real big networking event, and I've been here this is my 19th one. I guess I've been in this industry quite a while, but it's really great to see all old friends gather together and network and see what else is happening. And I guess I had one other conversation with some friends at dinner last night, And I asked what their impression was. As they went around and talked to people, and they have actually they have a different outlook on life than I do, but they also had a different focus, and they were looking at safety. I said, well, what's new? And they said, well, everybody's in denial. I said, what do you mean denial? Well, denial about security, not safety, security. And it's like they haven't been broken into yet on a cyber attack, so since I haven't been broken in yet, it must be okay. And there were several. In fact, I talked to World Tech at some length, which is now part of GE. But and I talked to a brand new company, Indigi. It's an Israeli company with a different take on things. I've been talking to people with whole different takes on security lately. There's a lot of stuff going on. But my friends told me that when they go around and talk to both end users and suppliers, it's kind of like they can't work up any enthusiasm for security. And I think just like safety had to be linked to productivity, I think security needs to be linked. If I design a system with security built in, it should be a more robust system, and therefore my productivity should go up. And I think I would approach security that way if I were advising somebody on how to either sell it to an end user, or if I'm an end user in a plant or a director of something, to sell to leadership, that we need to invest a little bit more in cybersecurity. Because if we design all this stuff, and I'm just a believer in design, you design it all in, you design a more robust system, and that's what we want, right? We need a more robust system that'll withstand stuff. So that was their take on things. Other technologies that were in there, we talked a lot about OPC UA, but then I was hanging out with Tom Burke, who's president of OPC Foundation, so I guess that kind of goes together. And a lot of cool ideas I can't talk about yet because they're not really developed, but that makes the ARC forum worthwhile. People still keep coming, and I heard that some of the sessions were really good. I only got to one. And like I say, I'm going to a second one. I had wall-to-wall meetings. I got here at 11 o'clock on Monday, never stopped until midnight Monday, got up early Tuesday, and basically never stopped with meetings. After the keynotes Tuesday morning, never stopped with meetings until 11 at night. And then Wednesday was another full day. My voice is a little deep because I'm rehydrating finally after drying out Monday and Tuesday. So it's been very busy, very good, met a lot of cool people, a lot of stuff going on. I'm expecting some new advances in DCS technology again. And that's pretty much everything I caught, right? So look for more on my blog as I flesh out some of these ideas and so on. So anyway, this is Gary Minchell. I was at ARC Industry Forum in Orlando, Florida. And once again, this podcast is brought to you by Ignition from Inductive Automation. Thank you.